Welcome back to Prayer Decode. Have you ever felt vulnerable in unexpected moments and wondered where true, unshakable protection comes from? In today's message, we'll uncover the secret to resting under God's divine shield every single day. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know how to activate His protection in your life, and you won't want to miss a single step. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss our weekly prayers and spiritual insights. In the journey of life, we often encounter moments that test our faith and resilience. Whether it's the uncertainty of the world around us or personal challenges that weigh heavily on our hearts, the need for divine protection becomes ever more apparent. This prayer is a heartfelt invocation for God's unwavering shield over our lives, families, and endeavors. Embracing God's promise of protection. The scriptures remind us of God's steadfast commitment to our safety. Psalm 121, 7-8 declares, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forevermore." This assurance is not just a poetic expression, but a divine guarantee of His perpetual guardianship. The power of prayer in daily life. Prayer serves as our direct line to the Almighty, a sacred dialogue that fortifies our spirit and aligns our path with His will. It's through sincere prayer that we invite God's presence into our daily routines, seeking His guidance and protection in every endeavor. Shielding our loved ones. Our families are precious gifts, and their well-being is a constant concern. By lifting them up in prayer, we entrust their safety to God's capable hands, asking Him to envelop them in His protective embrace against all forms of harm. Navigating spiritual warfare. Life's battles aren't always visible. Spiritual warfare is a reality that requires vigilance and faith. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces of evil. Through prayer, we equip ourselves with the armor of God, standing firm against any adversities that come our way. Seeking divine guidance in uncertain times. In moments of doubt and confusion, turning to God provides clarity and direction. Proverbs 3:5-6 encourages us to trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our understanding. By acknowledging Him in all our ways, He promises to make our paths straight. The role of faith in protection. Faith is the cornerstone of our relationship with God. Hebrews 11:1 defines faith as the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. It's this unwavering belief that activates God's protective promises in our lives. Overcoming fear with God's presence. Fear can be paralyzing, but God's presence offers peace that surpasses all understanding. Isaiah 41:10 assures us, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." Embracing this truth dispels anxiety and instills confidence. The importance of community in prayer. Gathering with fellow believers amplifies the power of prayer. Matthew 18:20 states, "For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them. Collective prayer fosters unity and reinforces our collective shield against adversity. Testimonies of divine protection. Many have experienced God's protective hand in miraculous ways. These testimonies serve as powerful reminders of His active presence in our lives, encouraging us to remain steadfast in faith. Strengthening family bonds through spiritual protection. Praying for loved ones unites hearts under one banner of faith. When you intercede for your spouse, children, or aging parents, pause to visualize God's shield surrounding each of them. Then, share that vision aloud as a collective affirmation. Lord, guard Mom as she travels today. Or Father, be the fortress around my son in school. This practice not only invokes divine safeguarding, but also encourages family members to join you in prayer, forging a shared commitment to spiritual security. Strategies for spiritual warfare. Recognizing the reality of unseen battles equips us to stand firm. I have found it helpful to identify recurring negative thoughts, fear, doubt, resentment as spiritual strongholds and deliberately counter them with scripture or declarations of faith. For example, when anxious thoughts arise, rehearse aloud, I refuse anxiety. I embrace God's peace. Over time, this verbal reclamation strengthens your resolve and dismantles the enemy's foothold in your mind. God's guidance in life transitions. Transitions, retirement, relocation, health challenges often stir uncertainty. During these seasons, I lean heavily on Proverbs 3-5-6 by journaling my fears and then rewriting those entries under the header. God's promises. This exercise transforms vague worries into concrete reminders of His faithfulness. As you see patterns of provision and protection emerge on your pages, your trust deepens and anxiety subsides, allowing God's direction to flow naturally into your decisions. Living by faith daily. Faith isn't reserved for crisis moments. It shapes every choice, no matter how small. When deciding on a purchase, evaluating a relationship, or planning your day, ask, does this honor God's protective care over me? By framing decisions through that lens, you reinforce a lifestyle where His safeguarding is front and center. Personally, I've turned down lucrative opportunities that felt misaligned with my values, trusting God to open better doors, and He always delivers. Conquering anxiety with God's presence. Anxiety can hijack even the most faithful hearts. To reclaim peace, I combine deep breathing exercises with scripture memorization. As I inhale, I silently say, "The Lord is my refuge." As I exhale, "I will not fear." Repeating this syncs body and spirit, retraining neural pathways away from panic and toward calm confidence in God's watch care. Building a prayer community. No one thrives spiritually in isolation. Inviting a small group of friends or neighbors to meet weekly virtually or in person creates a safe space for shared burdens and triumphs. Rotate hosting responsibilities so each person contributes a scripture reading or testimony. This mutual vulnerability fosters a thick shield of intercession. When one member stumbles, the others stand guard in prayer. Sharing testimonies and inspiring others. Stories of God's protection ignite faith in those who hear them. I make it a point to document, even record moments when I've sensed His deliverance, a sudden healing, an avoided accident, or timely encouragement when hope was fading. Sharing these testimonies on social media or in small groups doesn't boast in my own strength. It magnifies God's power and encourages listeners to trust Him for their own breakthroughs. integrating spiritual practices for ongoing protection. Beyond prayer and scripture, simple spiritual disciplines reinforce your protective net. Consider fasting one day a month to amplify your sensitivity to God's voice. Or commit to nightly examine reflections. Review the day with 2 questions. Where did I sense God's presence? And where did I drift from His peace? Over weeks, these practices embed spiritual awareness into your routine, ensuring you remain covered by His protection. As you weave these principles into your life, consistent prayer, intentional gratitude, community intercession, and reflective disciplines, you build an unshakable foundation of God's divine protection. This journey isn't about perfection, but perseverance. Each prayer, each act of faith, strengthens your shield. Daily practices to invite God's protection. Morning devotion. Begin each day with prayer and scripture reading to set a spiritual tone. Gratitude journal. Document daily blessings to cultivate a heart of thankfulness. Worship music. Incorporate worship songs into your routine to maintain a focus on God. Community engagement. Participate in church activities to strengthen your faith network. Deepening your relationship through consistent prayer. Beyond occasional petitions, cultivating a steady rhythm of conversation with God transforms prayer from a chore into a lifeline. I encourage you to set aside 2 or 3 brief moments each day, morning, midday, and evening, to offer simple phrases of gratitude or concern. This habit doesn't require a formal posture or a perfect script. It's about nurturing intimacy. Over time, you'll notice guidance arriving not only in thunderous answered prayers, but as quiet whispers in your heart, steering your steps and reinforcing God's protective presence. True protection flows not from human effort alone, but from an ever-deepening relationship with a faithful God. By choosing to pray without ceasing, stand firm against spiritual attacks, and invest in community, you activate His promises and live each day under His unbreakable shield. In embracing God's protection, we find peace amidst chaos, strength in weakness, and hope in despair. Let us commit to daily prayer, unwavering faith, and active participation in our spiritual communities. By doing so, we not only secure our own well-being, but also become beacons of God's love and protection to those around us. Key takeaways on prayer this morning. God's promises are unwavering. Trust in His protection. Prayer is a powerful tool for inviting divine intervention. Faith and community are essential in navigating life's challenges. Daily spiritual practices fortify our connection with God. Sharing testimonies encourages and uplifts fellow believers. Thank you for joining me on Prayer Decode as we explored practical ways to stand firm under God's divine protection. Remember, it's not by your strength alone, but through constant prayer, community support, and unwavering faith that you stay shielded from life's storms. If this teaching has blessed you, please comment with "protected" below, and subscribe for more powerful prayers and faith-building content. Until next time, may you walk confidently in His peace and protection. God bless.